welcome, and good morning. Yep.
Welcome and good morning. What a fine day. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
It is. Sun shining.
What's the smoke level like outside today? I didn't even check. It was a little hazy, but...
We have to get better at these introductions because I got to say, I've been listening because I still edit these podcasts.
You're bored as shit, aren't you?
I'm bored. Like, we just keep starting with the weather. Like, that's
I
the
feel like
literal,
that's
most basic
does.
thing.
Oh.
We need to, like...
We have to follow the news then if we want to...
Like, give me something better than, what's the weather today? You know, it's getting dry. People are getting sick of it, aka I'm getting sick of it.
You know what? Okay, I have an idea.
Okay. What?
Well, not for this episode, but...
Okay. Oh, he's writing it down, everyone. I have an idea.
What?
What's one thing that you're looking forward to right now?
Oh, yuck. That's how you want to start it? My intro was, I'm just going to come up with dad jokes, and I'm just going to give you one dad joke at the beginning. And you're going to love it. No?
Birds are chirping. It's just like... Deep, deep,
You mean crickets?
Oh, crickets are chirping. You don't have anything you're looking forward to that you want to share? What's on your heart? How is your heart? There it is.
I think I'm going to quit this podcast soon.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be perfect. Oh, we're so nice to each other.
Welcome to Robot Unicorn, hosted by my parents, Jess and Scott. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
All right. Luckily, we have great listeners who send in emails, very long emails with lots of detail and questions within them. So a listener, Fanny, wrote in asking for discussion on what happens when the needs of a parent and the needs of a child are not necessarily compatible. And she said she appreciates the common reminders about the importance of parental self-care and repairing mistakes, but feels the conversation needs to go deeper. She's interested in the quote-unquote ugly bits, the difficult moments between a parent deciding their needs matter and the child benefiting from a less burnt-out parent. Mm-hmm. She also questions the simplistic presentation of self-care just in general. And she highlighted that there are real-world financial and time constraints that make things like therapy or time away from a child difficult, among many other self-care things. She also raised the issue of a parent struggling with their own mental health and its impact on their child or children, especially when they can't afford or immediately access help. So Fanny felt like this was a deeply needed topic that isn't being discussed in depth online right now.
Huge. I love that she brought this up.
Yeah, it was great. Great email.
Really good. Scott and I both read the email and immediately we're like, yes, we need to definitely talk about this.
We've been getting quite a few more ideas lately from...
Yeah, and thank you. We want your ideas.
Which has been great.
I know you have questions for me, so maybe this is a question that you have for me, but just to start it on the human level, has there ever been a time when you felt this way? Like your mental health was struggling so much that it was hard to kind of balance the need of taking care of yourself and also taking care of our kids, and you felt like you kind of had to choose, or you weren't quite sure how to do both?
Well, I want to say yes, but when I had that major issue a few years ago now, I don't know that I was... No, I did think about that actually. But I was able to rely on you, which maybe a lot of couples don't have that relationship where they can rely on the other one and talk. Like, I think we talked about that at the time, that I needed to rely on you. But then we also had other stresses. So then we were both kind of stressed. So me dealing with some mental health issues and then having other stresses in our life. I don't know. It was just a stressful time.
We had a few years there that were very stressful. And of course that comes out in your parenting. Yeah,
of course. I was thinking about it this past week, how there have been several situations, especially with work, where I feel like we're just so stressed about certain things that are going on that even when we're home, especially because we work together, then we're talking about it more, and it's hard to not be distracted by that always. So then you're having a hard time actually being together with your child or your children.
It's really hard to be present when your brain is somewhere else or your nervous system is activated because you're having, like for you, some sort of trauma response in your body, right?
Yep.
I feel like during that time, you're probably a little more irritable with the kids. Like it was probably more difficult to parent than when you're coming from a calm, regulated place where most things in your life are going decently well.
Yeah.
It just is. And same for me. I totally related to the thing where she was like, it's not always realistic to get out of the house or to go to therapy. I think of after our third daughter was born, especially those first couple months postpartum, but then really the first year, she didn't take a bottle ever, right? So then you're home you have all your kids, you have a baby who doesn't take a bottle. So really the max you can be away from them is like 2-3 hours at a time. And she didn't really sleep through the night for the first year and a half. And I was also working. So basically, if you have all those things in place, and I was trying to support you with your mental health crisis, like the idea of, just go to therapy or go do a yoga class or take care of yourself, that wasn't even in my head because it was like, I was just in pure survival mode. So I could totally relate to what she was saying. Like, we talk about self-care now, but we were in such a different position than we were.
Do we talk about, to be honest, I will say.
We don't love the word self-care.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that word.
Yeah, I feel like we'll dive into that. But we do talk about that it's okay to take care of yourself, right? But there have definitely been seasons in our parenting where taking care of yourself was it wasn't even really a thought on our minds because it was basically like, how am I going to make it to tomorrow? Holding all the things that we're doing, juggling all the things that we're doing, and trying not have a panic attack and keel over. I don't know. I feel like we've had those seasons. So I just wanted to acknowledge that from the start. I could really relate to what she was saying. And now we're out of it. And I look back and I'm like, how did we do that for so long? It was really hard.
Do you think part of that is just having like 3 very young children?
Yeah, being
close together in age. Like it's just the kind of the reality of you get burnt out.
I think being in that season of having those babies back to back and just having the little, like our kids are still little, but they're older now. They're not in diapers. They don't really nap anymore. They all have school or preschool. It's just such a different stage than when we had a toddler who didn't sleep and a baby who didn't sleep and a 5-year-old who needed us for everything. It was just, there's no way around a lot of it, right? And in hindsight, I think that there's things that we could have done differently that would have set us up a little bit better during those times. So hopefully we can talk about that today. But sometimes seasons are just hard, and it is about survival, and it is about what are the tiniest things that I can do to take care of myself instead of seeing self-care as like, I have to go to therapy or I have to go to a yoga class or I have to get out of the house. I think even that pressure to feel like I have to get out and I have to do these things can actually weigh you down too. Like I remember thinking that like my brain would sometimes get stuck, right? Like if I can't get out and do one thing for myself this week, then this week is going to be terrible and I'm not going to feel good and da 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 da. But sometimes that doesn't help you either if that's just if that's not the reality that week. But yeah, I do want to talk about things I think we could have done differently, but we'll get your questions and start there.
Well, I kind of wanted to start with how do you handle the moment your need for a break clashes directly with your child's demand for attention?
Yeah.
Because like we were saying a few years ago, we definitely had this. Especially, I think we've had it significantly more with our children being younger. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know, between the newborn to 5-year-old stage, maybe a little bit older too. I don't know, they're less able to play independently, so you can actually have that break to like, well, even something as simple as making dinner. You'll have one of the children or potentially 2 or all 3 of them kind of clinging on to you as you're trying to make dinner or you're trying to do laundry or you're trying to do anything. You have them clinging to you. So it's not like you even get a break to do any one of those things.
I think where I see this come up for us now is our children stay up a little bit later. And so I see it come out for me where it's like I've put them all to bed. They've all had maybe even 30 minutes of my time at bedtime. And then our oldest, I get sometimes a little bit triggered. She'll be like, Mommy, stay with me longer. Stay with me till I fall asleep. And in my head, I'm like, we've had a nice discussion. I've asked you all sorts of questions. We've talked about your day. It's still going to take me another 25 minutes laying here if I lay here with you till you fall asleep. And then basically I might as well go to bed.
Yeah.
You know, like that 30 minutes, that's my only real time to myself all day. And so then I feel this competing, like she wants me to lay with her and I want to do that. And at the same time, if I do that, then I have zero time for myself. And that's going to also make me feel resentful. So sometimes there is that clash, right?
Yeah.
And there are times when I say to her, look, we've had our time together and I know you want me to stay, but I am going to go downstairs now. Like I also need that time to be a good mom. So that's an example of where that comes into play now. And then she'll be sad. And then that's hard because then you feel guilty about it. And what I know now, what I learned is that that's okay for her to be a little bit sad. It's different if I don't give her any time, right? But if that means that I get that 30 minutes where I can shower, take care of myself, refresh after a long day, so that I can then turn and be the best mom I can be the next day, sometimes there is that give and take.
Yeah. Now, I will say some people will say that something like a shower should be considered self-care. That's just a part of...
Yes, I've gotten flack for that before.
Yeah, something that that's not like
just
an
basic
extra
hygiene.
little thing that you should be thankful that you have time to do. Like that's a necessity for you to have a shower. So,
I mean, I'm sure you'll get here and I'll talk about how I managed this in the early years. But I think sometimes we build up in our heads so much of like, I have to have my self-care time. I have to have this. I have to have that, that it actually becomes, and I want to say this delicately because yes, of course we need time for ourselves. We're still human beings on top of being parents, and parents don't have to be martyrs that just give themselves fully to their kids and then have absolutely nothing left for themselves. And I think sometimes we build up our need for all these things for self-care so much that we forget the little ways that we can take care of ourselves when we're with our kids. Or that maybe showering can be self-care. Like for me, when I took a shower last night, this literally happened last night. Or our daughter's like, I want you to lay with me. I already had stories with her, talked to her, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, hon, I have to shower. I have to take care of myself because I haven't had time to do that yet today. I've been going since the moment I woke up. And okay, mommy, you know, sad face. I give her a big hug. I'll check on you after and make sure you're sleeping. I went in the shower, I took a long shower, you know, did the full shave, did the whole thing, cleansed my face, put on my moisturizer, my skincare routine. Then I put on a face mask and terrified Scott when I got downstairs.
That was quite something to behold.
And so I think there's ways that you can make these little things. Like it's not just a shower, you know, I did the full thing and I felt really refreshed after that. Like a hygiene shower, just washing your body off is a little different than taking time to do that whole routine. Yeah. And I felt really refreshed. But something that also refreshes me is when I lay down with the kids and I don't rush through bedtime and I just take time to bond with them and get to know them and spend time with them. Like to me, that also feels refreshing. And I think we don't talk enough about how sometimes time with our kids can feel refreshing. And I know that that's not self-care, that's not being alone, but sometimes I think we just build it up so much that I have to do it alone. Like being alone is the only way to take care of myself. And,
yeah, right.
And I push back on that a little bit. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts because that also could just be me and my nature too.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit because, I mean, I don't mind putting the girls to bed and I do try to make it fun and everything and I try to enjoy it. But at a certain point, it's getting to
you
like a
get
certain
ready to go
time of night. And I'm like, I have things that I have to do. So if it takes significantly longer, like, well, I have a bunch of work to do. Like I have to replace some lights in the house or whatever. Like I have things to do during the week. Yeah. So I try as soon as we're done work to spend time with the kids. We go to the park or go for a walk, whatever. But then I kind of want, and again, doing those things is not necessarily self-care. It's just stuff that I know that I need to do around the house. So I try and set that boundary with them that it's already this time. So I've been with you for this long. It's time for you to go to sleep now. I have to go do some of my own things for the family or for me or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
and even
we don't need to feel guilty about that.
well, and yeah, I don't.
And well, Scott,
Yeah, I
doesn't.
don't.
I struggle more with the guilt side.
But I feel like that's because I know that as soon as I'm done work, I'm spending the rest of the night with them until they go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I have only a short amount of time to do other things for myself. So it doesn't bother me as much that I have only a certain amount of time to do that. So then I have to say, okay, I actually let you go to bed a little bit later tonight. That means that I can't read you 2 books or whatever, or 3 books. Yeah. I can only read you 1 or 2 because you need to go to sleep. It's a little bit later than normal. And also I have to do all these other things tonight.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to disappoint your kids sometimes, right? To have them say, oh, I wish you could stay longer. And for you to actually model to them and this, I'm really talking to parents who have already really invested in their relationship with their kids here. I mean, I feel like there's parents on the flip side who we would be like, you need to prioritize your relationship with your kids a little bit more. So I think Scott and I are speaking kind of, and that's most of you who are similar to us, who already spend so much time investing in their kids that sometimes it's okay to say, I know you wish we could do 5 books tonight, but there's things I have to get done around the house, or there's things I have to do for myself tonight. And so that means we can only do 2. I always think about a friend of mine who I was feeling so guilty one time on a work trip. And I don't take work trips very often. I'm really mindful of how often I go away. But I was on a work trip and I was basically just like drowning in guilt and for being away from the kids. And then she just said, when your daughter is your age and she goes on a work trip, do you want her to feel this way? Like, would you be happy if she felt the same amount of mom guilt that you feel on a day-to-day basis? And like, imagine you were the grandmother here and like your daughter was you. Like, what would you say to your daughter? And I'd be like, I'd say you're a pretty good mom, like, and maybe just enjoy your work trip and give yourself some grace and know the kids are taken care of. And stop beating yourself up thinking that you're the worst mom in the world for being away from them for 2 days. Right. And I think that mindset's really helped me a lot because I don't want, and we have 3 daughters, but if we had sons, same thing. Like, I don't want our girls to grow up thinking that being an adult means giving everything to everyone else all the time to the point where you're drained out and so exhausted that you can't function.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something I want to pass down to them. And that really has changed my mindset to be like, it's actually okay for them to see me set a boundary. It's okay for them to see me go to a yoga class one night and you put them to bed or whatever it is. That's actually okay so that they can see what it looks like for a woman or a man, right? But to take care of themselves and to rest and to do things that fuel them and fill them with joy. Like, I want my kids to have that.
Now, do you not think, though, that this is, I don't know, like, that's you. I would say both of us try to be home as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Or we try and do as many activities with the kids as we possibly can. And then we know some others that try and get away from their families as much as they possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was trying to clarify who we're talking to here.
So yes, I would say that's true for our situation. And that's part of the reason why I stopped doing the work that I did in the past, because I was traveling way too much. And I was thinking that that's not what I would want. Maybe I wasn't thinking that's not what I would want for our kids, but it was more, I want to be more present for the kids and not be, because at that time I would go on a trip, come back, and I was almost interrupting
the flow of the family.
Yeah, the flow of things that were going on at home.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like I was a bit of an outsider. They, of course, missed me and loved having me around, but I wasn't a part of any routine. Right?
Yeah,
Versus for you, like, you're going once every couple months or something like that for maybe a
Couple
week.
days. Yeah, maybe a week. I think that that's also true too. So in terms of talking about self-care, and I think first, before we talk about taking care of ourselves, we have to talk about nurturing the relationship with our kids, making sure that that's there. And that's where I was trying to get to, where I was talking about how that in and of itself can be fulfilling. Like, I think we forget that nurturing the relationship with our kids, it can be fulfilling, and it can make parenting less draining because you're feeling connected with your kids and you feel like you have that solid relationship with them. Whereas if our whole goal is like, how can I get out of the house as much as possible to take care of myself? Well, your kids are going to feel that, and then they're going to act out more and have more attention-seeking behaviors, and then you might feel like you need to escape even more. So I feel like there is a point to that. Like, if we're trying to get away as much as we can, it does impact the kids as well. And I don't know. It's so nuanced, right? Like, it's really hard to say.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm sure there's a lot of different situations too. And I mean, we're talking about our own experiences here, but I think even something like a single parent taking care of one or more kids on their own, there's no one else. Like, who's going to help?
Yeah, exactly. You're in it every single day. That's
right. So I think, again, like, you want to say, yes, take care of yourself. But then in the same sense, like, is that always realistic either?
So let's go back to talking about when you have the really little kids at home, or thinking about, like, so for the first bunch of years of our marriage, Scott just mentioned he traveled all the time for work. So I was mostly just me at home with our daughters at the time, taking care of them. And we lived without family around. So a lot of it was just me on my own, taking care of them. So how do we do self-care in those seasons of life, right? Where you don't really have a lot of support. Your kids are really little, so they physically need you. One thing that really helped me was trying to figure out little ways I could bring in self-care into the things I was already doing. So I'll give you an example. Bedtime would be tough, especially when you were gone, especially putting 2 kids to bed.
Yeah, 2 very young children to bed.
Yeah, it was a lot. So I would think to myself, what can I do that will bring me some joy within this bedtime routine? So I would do things like make myself a hot chocolate in a thermos and just be drinking that as I'm like getting the kids to bed and stuff, like just something. And even like from a sensory perspective, like the heat of the tea or the hot chocolate would just kind of be calming to this nervous system as I was going through that routine. Sometimes when I would be rocking a baby for hours and hours to sleep, I would just bring my headphones and I'd listen to an audiobook or a podcast or even just calming music, like something so that I didn't feel like I'm just trapped in this chair and I can't do anything right now. Or I'd watch a show on my phone, things like that, right? And I wouldn't feel guilty about it. Like some moms are like, I could never watch a show on my phone. I feel too guilty to have the blue light around my baby while I'm nursing her or something. I wouldn't worry about that.
It's also, there's studies kind of debunking that whole idea too.
Right. So don't stress yourself out.
No, it's more the intellectual or the stimulation, like from whatever is on the screen that causes you to stay awake. But anyways.
Or 2 of our kids had these split nights. So I feel like for like 5 years, basically, I was dealing with these split nights. And it would always happen around a developmental leap. And I used to get so enraged with these split nights because what split night is basically means your child sleeps till like 2 a.m. and then they're awake from 2 to 4 and then they fall back asleep. And it's like, it would always be 2 hours. And so I would be in the room for 2 hours trying to get these kids back in their crib. It just wouldn't work. So eventually, and I know this goes against all the sleep advice, I would just be like, you're up. I know you're going to be up for 2 nights. I know this is the developmental leap. I would take them downstairs. I would make myself a tea. I would throw on a trash reality show. And I got through a lot of seasons of trash reality TV.
Thank goodness it was without me.
And I would start to look forward to like, oh, I can watch my show that Scott doesn't want to watch. Like, this is my special show. And we would be in the living room of our house until the baby would fall back asleep in my arms. And I'd bring them back to bed and I would go back to sleep. And those were like the little ways I took care of myself so that I didn't totally lose my mind. And the kids were always still there. But it's about thinking of like, what can I do that will bring me some joy while I'm doing this hard thing in parenting? And I found that those things really helped me survive some of the hard days.
Yeah, and I would say, well, okay, first of all, Can we agree on using something other than self-care? Because I already despise that term.
I know, because self-care, you just think bubble bath and like getting my nails done. I just think I could get my nails done 500 times. If I'm coming home to 3 chaotic kids, then one who just wants to suck on me all the time because they don't take a bottle, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times I get my nails done. It's still hard, right? I don't know. I know that's like sounds crass, but like that is life. That was life for a long time.
I don't know. Maybe it's too mainstream. I don't love that.
Bubble baths and candles. Like, what would you say?
Well, so for myself, I feel like, well, we know this about me. I need to move in general. But because I was traveling as much as I was, I don't know that was ever a problem. I would use the hotel gym every morning.
Right.
So it wasn't, I don't know, was I doing anything specific for myself at that time? Not really. When I was home? Do you remember me doing anything?
We would incorporate again, this is incorporating our kids into things that we like to do.
Yeah, like
we loved going to the farmer's market.
Yeah, we would go to the farmer's market and get like old-fashioned donuts made by this Amish family. And that would be pretty much every Saturday.
And we liked doing that. And it got us out of the house. We didn't have to like cook or clean. That would be our breakfast on Saturdays. We still do that. It's a ritual that we all like.
Yeah. Well, Jess gets to watch us every time, but
yeah, I mean, I don't get to eat donuts because celiac problems, but I actually love the ritual of donuts, even though I don't eat them. Right. And so on Saturday mornings, donuts are for breakfast. I feel like, I know we don't want to use self-care, but that is a form of caring for ourselves. So that Saturday mornings, we don't have.
Because you rearrange it doesn't mean it's not saying
we don't have dishes. We don't have to think about breakfast. We know what it is. If we have friends over, we know what we're serving them. And sometimes we'll invite people over on Saturday mornings because everyone who knows us knows that in our house, we have donuts on Saturdays.
Yep.
So people stop by. It's a time of togetherness. And we're with the kids the whole time. But I do feel like it brings us joy and satisfaction in our lives. Another way is like Friday night pizza or takeout. Every Friday. And you can even, if takeout's not in the budget, like you can do frozen pizza or chicken nuggets or whatever you want to do, like simple dinners on Friday.
Yeah, like sometimes we make the pizza pockets.
Yeah, we'll make our own.
In a homemade sandwich maker, which is honestly the kids like it better than regular pizza.
Yeah, and if dishes are something that burns you out because you're struggling, to stay on top of your house, do it on a paper plate. Throw a blanket on the floor. Like we throw a sheet on the floor. You can use paper plates. And we don't, but you could. Like, because I know something that burns a lot of parents out is the constant dishes that they have to do, right? So take that off the table one night a week. Don't worry about doing dishes. Just get paper plates. Throw a towel down on the floor or whatever, a sheet. Watch a movie and have like a cheap, easy dinner. Like I think that's a way that, again, you can nurture yourself.
Oh, there it is.
You can nurture yourself while you're still with your kids. I think a lot of the things that we do in these really little years is how do we take the pressure off? And how do we make a lifestyle that's sustainable rather than just add in bubble baths every now and then?
Why does it seem like kids have a sixth sense for needing us when we have the least energy? At least it feels that way.
They do. Our children are wired to be very in tune with their parents, right? Because their world revolves around us. And if they sense that we are off, and the only way they regulate is through our calm, they're immediately going to be off. I think of the times our kids have been most off, most like not listening or defiant or however you want to describe it, it's typically when we are most off. And then it leads to this family culture of dysregulation. Everyone's dysregulated. Everyone's amping each other up, and it's really, really hard. So I think in terms of what can you do about that, sometimes if you're going through a really difficult season, your kids just need to know that it's not about them and that they are safe and that they are okay.
Do you think that would work for, let's say, our 3-year-old?
No, probably not. But for older kids, that can actually be helpful. Older kids are very in tune.
Yep.
And I was just talking to someone the other day who divorced parents. And they were saying how they were getting, or they are divorcing, but there was a lot of fighting in the house. The kids were getting really dysregulated. And I was saying to them, well, the kids need to know that they're safe and that they're okay, right? They see their parents dysregulated and upset. And so they're joining into that chaos because they don't know if they're okay. And they need to know the plan. They need to know what's going on. Otherwise, they are dysregulated because their world revolves around your calm. So like, I think for some kids, it's not telling them everything that's happening, but it's just letting them know it's not about you. You're safe. For our littler ones, I was crying the other night. I was having a really hard day, really stressed out. And our 3-year-old was just beyond herself about it. She hated it. And it was just letting her know, it's okay for mommy to cry sometimes too, just like you cry. Crying is okay. Crying's important. And it's not your responsibility to calm me down. Like she kept trying to calm me down. She kept bringing me stuffies and stuff like that. I'm like, hon, I've got this. Thank you. Thank you for trying to comfort me, but
It's not like she's going to understand that what you're saying though, is she?
I actually felt like she did.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I said, why don't we just cuddle on the couch and watch some Bluey? I think that would be perfect. And then we did that. And then I was able to kind of pull myself together a little bit. And then we did the rest of the night and it was fine.
Yep.
But again, she needed to know it wasn't her responsibility to calm me. And we needed to have something that maybe we could do together just to kind of help me get back to my regulation too.
Yep.
But what do you think? Because I like those are things I do. But when you were really dysregulated and the kids definitely felt it, what did you do to help yourself?
Help myself? Sorry, what?
Like when you were going through that season where you were really dysregulated and the kids definitely could feel that like something's going on with dad. What did you do to like help yourself be more regulated around them? And also, like, did you have conversations with them about it? Like, how did you navigate that?
I definitely had conversations with them about it. I explained exactly why I was feeling that way. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty positive. I talked to them, but it's not their job to fix it for me or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's just because of the situation. I don't know whether this is healthy or not, but I really enjoyed cuddling up next to one or a couple of them. I feel like that's a common thing for me, is like I just like to cuddle up with the kids. Mm-hmm. Just remind myself of...
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, okay. That's good. So it's not unhealthy then.
As long as you're not depending on them for all your regulation,
no.
Right? But if they're willing to snuggle with you...
Yeah, it's more like I'll watch Bluey with them and I'll just kind of have them cuddled up underneath my arm.
I found in my most stressed out seasons, like there was nothing more peaceful to me than laying beside my kids until they fell asleep and just laying there for a few minutes beside them, right? Again, that's where I think we forget about how reciprocal our relationship with our kids can be. Like they can also give us some regulation and calm too.
Now, do you think there's any difference between a parent who is very tired and a parent who is burnt out?
Yeah, I think they're two different things.
So what would you say is the difference?
Tired is...
Because I feel like that's important to discuss too, right? Like if you're just really tired versus you're completely burnt out, I feel like that's two, I don't know. Yeah, I think they're quite different.
Yeah, I think tired is my kids kept me up late or they didn't sleep well this whole week and I'm exhausted. So we're going to have 2 movie days in a row this weekend just so I can kind of get some energy back, right? And that's fine. That's parenting. Everyone's going to have weeks like that. Burnt out is this extended tiredness. And I think one of the biggest signs of burnout is you're just not finding joy in your life anymore the way you used to. Like things that used to make you excited or happy or the hope that you used to have for the future. Like when I see someone who's burnt out, they've lost those things.
Are you not potentially describing someone having depression?
Yeah, like I think there can be a lot of overlap between burnout and depression. I think burnout, I think a lot of people who are burnt out are also depressed. But I think burnout more so comes from you've had so much demand on you for so long that your body just starts saying no. Like, I can't do this anymore. And your mind starts saying no too, and things just kind of start shutting down. And totally it can lead to depression. But I think when we're looking at burnout, we're looking at what caused this. And often for parents, it's too much demand, too little help, too many things on their plate with not enough things that are fueling them and bringing them joy again. And it leads to this state of like, almost like a freeze. Like your body's just like, you get really sick. Your body tells you, I can't do this anymore. I know when I was burnt out, I was crying all the time. I just didn't want to get out of bed. And a lot of it, was also probably depression at the same time. But if I looked at why I got there, it's because I was doing way too much for way too long. And my body just said, no more.
Now, do you think social media has contributed to parents becoming more burnt out than ever?
I think it can, absolutely. Like,
because I was looking at a bunch of research and it was showing, I should have had this written down. I think it was something about parents who use social media and are on it for like an extended amount of time are typically more likely to be burnt out or depressed or something like that. I can't remember what it was now. Shit.
It's hard because is it like a chicken or an egg? You know, like, are we on social media more because we're already feeling burnt out and then we're
it's
endlessly
dopamine.
scrolling,
You're
looking for
the
dopamine? Yeah.
Yep. Well, that, and then you also have, to be honest, I think it's a good idea if you're listening and you follow anyone that is showing that they live the perfect life.
Yeah.
It's not worth that, not worth following that. Or I think the opposite of that, if you're following someone who's almost too relatable, like every single thing that they do is just relatable to your life, it's probably made up.
I talked to my mom about this before because I was talking about like the pressure that social media can put on us. Like, I'll give you one example, a birthday party for a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Like you see people planning these parties for their kids. And if you love to do it, good for you. I have friends who love to do that and it gives them life. Right? And they plan these beautiful birthday parties for their kids. They have the perfect cake and decorations and blah, 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 50 people over. That would be the end of me. Like when we do a birthday party for the kids, it's like a grocery store cake, 3 balloons, a handwritten sign saying happy, like I'm being dramatic here, but basically actually not really. Cause this is pretty much what I do. And like 3 friends.
We did have streamers the last
over.
couple times.
Oh yeah. But I did have help sending those streamers. I didn't do that myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a streamer last time.
Yeah, we had streamer and more than 3 balloons. So
yes. So we've amped up the balloon game, but that's it. And it's at the party's at our house and there's like a couple friends and that's it. And I said to my mom, I'm like, when you look at this and you think to yourself, I have to do this, right? I have to do this for my kids and I have 3 of them. The amount of time and money and energy that goes into that birthday party, let alone like, then you have to attend all these other birthday parties and your house has to be perfect and like all these things. I said, did you feel you had that pressure? And she was like, yeah, I did. Because yeah, she's like, I actually think like, she's on social media and she follows Nurtured First, but also she sees other things. And she's like, I think parents of your generation, you feel like you're the first ones to have this pressure. She's like, we still had it, maybe not as intense, but in different ways. She's like, I can think of 3 of my friends who would have those birthday parties for their kids. And we would all go to their house and we would know it would be a big to-do. And then it would be time for your guys' birthday. And I wasn't also like that. And I would be like, like embarrassed almost, or like feel like I had to put on this whole show. And she's like, the pressure was still there. It just maybe wasn't that you saw it every single day, but you felt it because there was still those people in your life that did those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's people who are even closer to you then.
Right. It's even, and then she said, even your grandma, my grandma, she's like, she had pressure on her to be thin, to look a certain way, to have a certain lifestyle, because there was magazines like, I don't know, like a Good Housekeeping or some magazines like that she would see and she would buy at the grocery store and she would look through it and think her house needed to look exactly like that and that she needed to like lose weight or her body needed to look like that. And she's like, even grandma put a ton of pressure on herself to make things look good. And so she's like, you guys maybe have more because it's more readily accessible, but this is not a new problem of people comparing themselves to each other and feeling like they're burning out because of it. And I thought that was actually helpful for me to understand and good to remember that these are not new struggles. And like, it would be really nice as parents, if we could just be like, oh, good for you. not really my thing, but that's fine. Instead of feeling like we have to keep up with everybody and, outdo each other. We've been doing this way too long, especially as moms. Like, I'm over it. I'm very upfront with my friends. I'm like, if you come over, it's a fruit tray and it's takeout. Like, I'm not cooking you a whole fancy dinner, and that's fine. And I think when you can lean into what you're good at and what you like to be, to go back to the burnout, it really helps. Like, stop trying to become a parent that you're just not, just to keep up with everybody else. Yeah. It really, really relieves some pressure when you can recognize that, like, for me, maybe I'm not the house that has the homemade gourmet meal when my friends come over, but I'll totally get you pizza and takeout, and we'll throw a towel or a sheet down on the floor, and our kids will all watch a movie together, and we'll hang out outside and, chat and have a nice time. Like, that's okay. I don't know what you think of that, but I feel like a lot of this burnout that we do feel is these pressures that are so unrealistic that we put on ourselves to do things that just maybe aren't within our personality. And then maybe someone like our good friend, she always has the dinner. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful time, but she loves to cook and she loves it and it gives her life. So great. She should do that then.
Yeah, I feel like this is another one of those situations that needs some nuance. Because, on one hand, you don't want to compare with others. Mm-hmm. You don't want to necessarily feel guilty all the time for how you do things compared to others. But then I think some people will take that, again, too far in the other direction, right?
Give me an example.
I'm just going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to go on friends' weekends constantly and leave my kids at home, and I'm going to do whatever, all these different things for me because I deserve it. Meanwhile, your kids still need you.
Yes.
Right. So I think there is kind of a middle ground on that where, yes, make sure that you're taking care of your needs as much as is realistic without forgetting that you still have children that are dependent on you.
Yeah.
And need that relationship. I don't know. I don't know if that's worded well, but I just think it could be taken too far in either direction, where it needs to be kind of a middle ground where, yes, of course, every person needs to feel rested and to feel like their needs are being met. But then you also have these children who are completely dependent on you.
They need you.
And they need you 100%. So then you can't then go so far where you're like constantly away and you're constantly...
I think I know what you're saying. Let me see if this makes sense to you. If self-care to you means running away from your kids all the time, like just leaving them as much as possible, then there's some deeper things that you probably need to reflect on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because for me and for Scott and for many of our friends, self-care, again, we don't love that. So nurturing yourself is about, we still have that relationship, and that is always the first priority. We know our kids are dependent on us and they need us for everything. And that doesn't mean that we have to be a martyr that just gives and gives and gives of ourselves to the point where there's absolutely nothing left. And I have been that martyr. I have been that mom who gave and gave and gave to myself until I had nothing left. And then I got so sick that I was basically in bed for a month because I had nothing left to give of myself. And that's not fair to my kids either.
No, right. You go too far in the other direction, I think, in general, just for everyone, including our kids. I think that's the case. But I also think there are people that will take that and go too far in the other direction.
So there's two. And both are unhealthy. So giving so much to your kids that you get so sick and burnt out and you literally can't even function, that's not healthy. And then you have to ask yourself, what are some ways I can take care of myself and take this burnout off my plate, right? And then that's what we're talking about. The things that you do with your kids, like the paper plates one night a week or takeout or, and then the other thing is, maybe there are some boundaries you can set so you don't feel like that martyr. But then to Scott's point, there's also the parents who just are like, the only way I can feel like myself is if I get away from my kids as much as possible. And then in the same way as if you were being a martyr, I'd want you to ask yourself, what am I running away from here? You know, what is actually at a deeper level going on for me that I feel like the only way I can take care of myself is not being home, right? Because I feel like those parents, there's often something else going on, whether it's too hard to connect with my kids. Like their behavior is bothering me too much. Like I have to get out. I'm stressed out about my own life. Like there's something deeper there if self-care to you means running away. So we have to question kind of where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And not let it replace the relationship you have with your kids.
I think all parents can probably honestly say that we've messed up and lost our cool. And you've talked about repair before. So what does a real effective apology to a child actually involve? Because let's say, okay, we're tired, we're burnt out. So the reality is we can't nurture ourselves all the time. Mm-hmm. So then we're tired or burnt out, and then we snap at them.
Yep.
Of course, then you feel guilty again for having done that.
Yeah, it's like this cycle now. I feel guilty.
So how do you act? Like, what does a repair actually look like in that situation?
I actually answered this on Nurtured First on the Q&A I did last night.
Oh.
And someone said, how many times do I have to apologize if I've really yelled at my kid or something? And I actually said, apologize sincerely once, make sure they understand you, and then let your changed behavior be your actual apology. I think sometimes we apologize way too much for our kids, and actually over apologizing makes our kids feel a little bit unsafe, because it's actually a little bit like, can they really trust our leadership if we're coming to them like begging for apologies? What kids need the one apology in a sincere way, but what they really need to know is that we're going to do everything under our power to change the way that we behave so that we don't keep yelling at them. Our words are essentially meaningless if we keep doing the same thing, right? So let's say you've had a day and you just feel like you snapped all day long. The apology comes at night. You know, I'm sorry. I had a really hard day and I took it out on you. That was not fair.
And you're obviously saying that this has to happen when you as the parent are cooled down.
Yeah. Don't apologies in the moment. I'm sorry. Yeah. The kids can read right through a fake apology, right? So I like to apologize when I'm calm. We come back. Hey, I'm so sorry. I had my own thing going on. I was really stressed out about it. And I snapped at you, and that was not fair. You know, next time I have my own thing going on, maybe I'll just let you know that I need some space, or, you know, I'll try and work that out on my own without snapping at you. And then the real apology happens when the next time I do have my own thing going on, I do what I said I was going to do, right? Yep. And so I think we need to hold that accountability as parents too, instead of just apologizing over and over, because it actually threatens our leadership a little bit if all we do is say sorry, but we don't actually make change.
Right. So what you're saying is apologize sincerely when you are calmed down. So not in the moment, but don't over apologize.
Yeah.
So it's kind of if it is sincere, that one apology means a lot, but then you have to actually make change. And that doesn't mean not messing up in the future.
You might mess up the next day and apologize again, right? That's different.
But yeah, using the repair, the apology, doesn't mean you just have free reign to then yell whenever you want either, right? Like it means that I think kids are smart enough to see that you're actually trying or not trying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
We need to take accountability for our own words and actions too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're adults, so that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So for parents with very little time, very little money, little to no village to support them, what does self-regulation actually look like? How can they regulate themselves better so that they don't necessarily snap when they are feeling tired or burnt out? Mm-hmm. And again, this is, of course, we want to talk about nurturing yourself, doing things that fill you up. But just in general, I don't know, it's a busy week. You're bringing the kids here or there, you're in school, you're coming home from work, you're trying to get lunches ready. Like it's pretty hectic. having young kids?
Okay, so let me just give you some examples of what I did in those seasons, because we've definitely had those seasons where we had very little money, very little time, and no support. So some things that I did, and take it or leave it, I would build my day in a way that would feel exciting to me and would have things that I would look forward to. So for example, I took my kids to do a lot of free stuff. And in those seasons when I had 2 little kids at home, I would always try and get out in the morning. So getting out of the house really helped my mental health, because when I was home all day, I found that I lost my cool a lot more. So I would every morning try and get out to a playground to go for a hike with the kids. It was always something free. And I would bring a coffee from home in a thermos, pack them whatever snacks I had at home. It's not like we had to go out and buy other snacks or anything like that. Bring their waters, and we would just get out in the morning. And that helped me have one thing to look forward to every day. And I would choose the activity that we were doing. It got us out of the house so that the house wasn't a disaster in the morning, because the mess would really trigger me. And the kids just kind of got to know that routine. Now that's when I was like at home with the kids, right? And then we would get back. I would feed them lunch, something simple. And then it was nap time, and I would make my older daughter have a quiet time. So whether that was watching a movie or being quiet in her room, but she would have to have that quiet time so that I had at least an hour and a half where no one needed me, and I could clean the house. I could do something for myself. That was every day. So one thing that we can do is really take like a helicopter view of the way you're structuring your time, and ask yourself, could I structure this in a different way where maybe it would bring me a little bit more joy while I'm still with the kids, right? None of that involved being away from my kids, but it fully changed our routine and our structure to make there's things I looked forward to. Mm-hmm. And we checked out like every playground in our city. Like that's what we would do. We would always go to a different one, and we would go to different hikes, and it just got us out. And that was my saving grace in those hard moments. And then, as I explained before, when I had to do bedtime by myself, it would be like, okay, what book do I want to listen to? I got into listening to comedy podcasts. So I had something funny in my ear. I would always make my tea or my decaf coffee or my hot chocolate to take with me during the bedtime routine. And none of these things costed me extra money. And they all were with the kids, because I just simply didn't have support at the time based on where we lived and our life. But it did help me feel like I could get through the day. And then the other thing I did that did help was join some groups. So I ended up joining like a mom's group at a local church that I didn't even go to. And then I knew one morning every week I would see other moms, and and they had like a childcare there. And we would get to just chat, and that was free too. And it gave me a chance to meet other people and talk to them and hear their stories. And that would always fill me up. So I think if you don't have a village and you're home with your kids, I would be asking yourself, like, is there any free groups I can join? I think most states But
isn't that just one other thing to do?
It depends on your personality. Yes, it was something for me to do, but it was very life-giving for me. And I think a lot of moms. It's about finding the right group. Like I joined some other groups and they were kind of draining and not life-giving. But the stay-at-home mom life, like right now I'm just kind of talking to moms who are in that season. Often you don't talk to another adult for the entire day, right?
Yeah.
I needed to hear some adult conversation that really helped me feel like myself and really got me through. Because when you go to a group of moms and everyone's like, oh, I didn't sleep last night either. It's like, oh, okay. So I'm not alone in that. I feel normal. And then the other thing was for me also finding the things that I liked. And so at that time, that's when I actually started Jessica Grace blog. Like I was working on it at that time, and it gave me something that felt like me, something that I enjoyed doing, reading research, analyzing it, writing blog posts on it. That became Nurtured First for anyone who is new to the podcast. But finding those little pieces of myself, I think, was really helpful too. But all of that was done with the kids around. And it was still hard. It didn't make that easier. There's still tons of days I cried and cried myself to sleep and had a hard time. Like it's so physical and emotional and exhausting when you're in those stages. And those things really did help. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
I would say as the kids have gotten older, and there's almost an expectation to put them into extracurricular activities. I would personally recommend reducing the total numbers. So you're not doing something different every single night. You're not out bringing, if you have a couple kids or something like that, even one, but you have them in multiple things in the week. If you're already drained out, taking them to another extracurricular event or activity doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's okay. So now if we fast forward to now, the ages our kids are at now, so school age. Yeah, that's how we take care of ourselves. So we don't do tons of extracurriculars.
Yeah, and our two older daughters are in the same extracurricular, and actually our middle daughter goes once a week. Our older daughter goes twice a week, but I go with them and actually participate in karate once a week with them too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we've combined it all, and I'm also getting my movement in, and I get to do this fun activity with my daughter, and hopefully as they all grow, they all join and I get to do it with all of them.
So again, that's nurturing yourself, but doing it together with your kid, right?
Yeah.
So it's perfect. So I think we do that, but that's it for extracurriculars. We try and really limit it. We try and have at least one day on the weekend where we're home.
Yep.
And people will come to our house. Like our house, I feel like definitely the hosting house. We have people over quite often, but we'll have them over for donuts on Saturday morning, or we'll say, hey, we're home on Sunday. You can come to our house. But we do try and be home at least one day on the weekends. I'm very mindful of how many work trips I schedule for myself. And we talked about how it's okay to go and not feel guilty, but also we try not to overschedule being gone. That really helps the whole house stay regulated. You have your things that you do for play, which I think a lot of parents have lost their ability to play. What play looks like, you can tell people what you do for play.
I don't know, 3D printing, Nintendo's old, like retro Nintendo stuff. What else do I do for play? Honestly, I just like building things.
Building things.
So that's a lot of what I do. Like any project I do for our house, it's usually me designing something first. So I'm modeling it up first, creating drawings for it, and then building it. And it's just something fun that I enjoy doing.
I find that in this season, because the kids are older, making sure that they help us clean up the house so that the house isn't always a disaster. We actually get rid of toys fairly often and make sure even simple things like that so that the house doesn't feel too cluttered. Like I joke, but I love going to the thrift store, dropping stuff off. Just that even simple things like that help.
Although you continually have been making the mistake of bringing the girls with you and then
I know. And then all of a sudden,
something
I want this
from the thrift store.
Yeah.
Completely defeats the purpose.
Yeah. I joined yoga this year for the first time, and that is definitely a privilege. But again, I want to give people some hope. It's I had years and years of I couldn't leave the house.
Yeah, now that the weather's nice too.
You'll be biking.
I'll be biking, but then we'll also go hiking and everything. We live close to a lot of hiking trails around us, so then we like to do that as a family.
And Scott and I are good. And if you have, and I know again this is a privilege, but if you have a partner, see how you can swap off. Scott is very good about on Saturday mornings before donuts, I go to my yoga class, right? And you never make me feel guilty for doing that. And you hang out with the kids on Saturday mornings while I go do that, right? And there will be a time very soon where you start biking. And maybe that means I have to do some extra stuff at the house because you're biking to work or whatever. And I will not guilt you for going biking, right? And I think that there is that really important part of your relationship, if you are in one, where you have to give each other the space to do things for themselves without guilting them or making them feel bad about it. And that nurtures not only them as a human being, but also their ability to show up for your kids and for each other too.
Yep. Okay. What I found in the research in preparation for this episode was that there seemed to be the recommendation for self-compassion over self-care. So I was wondering if you could potentially speak to that and why self-compassion might be more critical than self-care.
Absolutely. I think that's actually a lot of what we've been talking about today, right? The guilting yourself. I think it's incredibly important to have compassion on ourselves. Like you said, though, not to mean, oh, I'm so compassionate on myself, I can do anything I want and I can do no wrong, right? Like that's also unhealthy.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say that I feel like guilt, it's a human emotion. So there must be times where there's a reason for feeling it, right? Not maybe crippling guilt, but I don't know. I feel like it's there for a reason. It helps you kind of guide yourself a bit. Not that it shouldn't like cripple you and riddle you with anxiety because you feel guilty for having yelled the one time or having done this one thing one time. And
I think we all deal with it different.
yeah.
Like as someone with anxiety, guilt to me can feel crippling and I can be so hard on myself that it's ridiculous. But guilt for others can be a really helpful and important emotion to listen in. I think guilt can tell us, okay, something happened here that maybe doesn't align with my values. Just ask yourself, why am I feeling guilty? Where is this coming from? And then you can find out if, okay, so I'm feeling guilty because I yelled. Well, that's actually a pretty good feeling. Like if I didn't feel guilty about yelling, I'd be more worried. Okay, so I can apologize and try and do things different. Or if you're like me and you just have crippling guilt over everything, then the question is, okay, is this guilt really serving me here or am I now just beating myself up? Right. I've apologized. I'm changing my behavior. I can let the guilt know I don't need you to take over my mind and I can have some compassion on myself, right? I'm a human parent. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to do everything perfect. That's okay. The relationship I have with my child can actually withstand me not doing everything perfect all the time. And how can I give myself grace? Because if I can't do that for myself, I'm like, this helps me. Like if I can't give myself grace, I'm also going to teach my kids to be like really hard on themselves and never give themselves grace because they're going to see me as the model. And I don't want that for them either.
Right.
So I've really had to practice just who I am, giving myself extra grace and reminding myself that all humans make mistakes and I don't need to be perfect in order to be a good mom.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So we talked about social media and I don't know, all the pressures. So whether it's because of social media or not, or amplified because of it. But in a world where I feel like there's a lot of conflicting advice about even the idea of self-care versus attending to your child's needs. Not that they are necessarily opposing, but how can parents learn to trust their own intuition again if they've lost that ability?
You can read my book.
You like how I set you up for that?
Yeah, you really set me up for the book. It's so funny because this whole conversation, I actually have had the book in my mind. If you didn't know, I just announced a couple weeks ago that I'm writing a book. It's official now, so we can share it. But in the book, I really talk about how tuning in with our own intuition, a lot of it is actually remembering what it was like to be a kid, right? And remembering the things that we were good at and the things that we knew and the things that we were capable of as children before the world kind of taught us how to think and taught us to not trust ourselves. And so I think even with in terms of the self-care and feeling guilty and like this discussion too, two things. First, remember the things that brought you joy when you were a child, the things that you liked to do, because often those are the things that are going to help you feel more at peace now. And I think for me, things like swimming, like I loved to swim as a kid. It was like my favorite thing to do in the whole world. And then over time, I just like lost the chances to do that and even lost the confidence to like want to go in a bathing suit and jump in the pool, right? And then last summer, my daughter's like, can you do cannonballs with me in the deep end? And I was like, yeah, why not? And we just did cannonballs over and over. And I had the time of my life. Like it was such a blast. And it was the first time in a while that I just felt like I was just having fun, So I think sometimes in our most burnt out seasons, it's like, remember what you used to do that brought you joy and helped you have fun, and try doing those things now, and maybe try doing them with your kids and see if that brings some joy back. And then in terms of tuning in with your intuition, Kids are so good at this. Like, I feel like naturally kids are very, like, they're led by their impulses, right? But they're also led by, like, they kind of know what they want to do and say, and they don't really think twice about it, even if it's the wrong decision. But they're very in tune with themselves. And so
it's a lot of being driven by impulses.
Yeah, they're driven by impulses.
Ages.
And eventually they learn how to control them. But sometimes we learn how to control our impulses too much, where we don't trust ourselves at all. And I think sometimes for parents, you have to ask yourself before you ask everybody else in your life, what is it that I actually want to do right now? Like, what matters to me in this moment? What do I think the right answer could be? And I think when it comes to child rearing, we just rely on every other expert in the book, right? Or on Instagram or whatever, instead of asking ourselves, what do I believe is the right thing? And I know that happened to me, especially around sleep. When our oldest was born, I just relied on everyone else to tell me how to get my kid to sleep, right? And we've talked about this before, but we ended up sleep training her, cry it out, and everything in my body was like, this is wrong. This is not what I want to do. Yeah. But because some expert said I had to do it, that's what I did. And over time, I learned to tune back in with that instinct. And I think it helps us a lot, even with tantrums and all these things, right? Like, and I write a lot of these style of posts on Instagram, but if you don't know how to respond to your child in a moment, just quickly pause and be like, okay, imagine I'm 3. Imagine I'm on the floor right now having a huge tantrum and I'm looking up and I see my mom looking down at me. What would I want? Just ask yourself that. And usually that's enough to be like, oh, all they really need from me is just to sit beside them while they cry. Oh, okay, I can do that. Right? Like, it's actually, I think parenting's a lot more intuitive than we think, but it's just gotten lost. So I want parents to tune back in with that.
I think that's a great place to stop. I hope you enjoyed this format. I used a little less research this time, so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out with these episodes how we.
I do feel like this topic calls for a bit more personal stories and a bit more just nuance. But I'm so glad that this question was asked, and I hope that this helps.
Yeah, thank you, Fanny, for sending that in. That was we appreciate that. And
I hope you can give yourself some grace if you are in this situation, and know that it usually doesn't last this long forever. It will get easier. If therapy is an option and you're feeling this way, then that's great. And just one last thing, sorry. We haven't talked enough about community today too, but if there are people in your life that you can lean on, like, I think we have become this society that is so individualistic, and like, we all think that, like, we all feel like we're in these silos raising our kids. It's just not meant to be that way. And I know when I was feeling like I was in a silo raising our kids, it was the most difficult thing in the world. Now we live near family. We're privileged enough to have some help from some family members and, friends that live close by. But if you have anyone in your village, see how you can lean on them, see how you can go out to mom groups or whatever it is to build that village, because truly we do need a village to do well, and we're not meant to do this by ourselves.
Well said.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week, and let us know if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover as well. Hey, thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode today. It means the world to us to have you here. If this conversation was helpful for you, it would mean a lot if you could like and subscribe. That just shows us if the conversation is meaningful and helpful, and helps it get out to more people. Also, I just wanted to let you know that every week we have a new episode drop. And if you want to be notified when that happens, just hit the little bell icon. Again, thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk to you again next week.